Hi guys, it's Grace. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. You can sear and cook salmon in 2 minutes. I'm serious, you can make absolutely amazing seared salmon in just 2 minutes. I'm also going to be showing you how to make an amazing garlic honey glaze that is going to blow your mind. It's so yummy. It's going to just stick to the salmon ever so perfectly. It has soy, has a little bit of orange. It's just heaven. And obviously the star of the show is some beautiful salmon. I got these pieces at my local fish mart. Look at how amazing they look. They're so, so fresh. I'm gonna roll my sleeves up because it's time to slice some salmon. Now, if you want to cook salmon in a very, very short amount of time, you need to make sure that your salmon is thinly sliced. And the term for thinly sliced salmon is scaloppini. And it basically just means thinly cut salmon. And that way you can sear your salmon really, really quickly. So these are kind of the standard pieces that you would get in the grocery store or at the fish market. And what we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna take a ruler here and we're going to make sure that the salmon is about a ½ inch thick or so. So you can see here that the thin part of this salmon is about a ½ inch thick. So we're gonna aim to cut these into pieces that are about ½ inch thick. So I'm going to take a really, really sharp knife here and you're going to turn your salmon so it's really, really easy to work with. You're going to be cutting the salmon away from you, not towards you. You never do that. You don't want to stab yourself. So I'm going to aim to make the salmon about this thick here. So I'm going to run my knife down the side of the salmon here, holding the salmon as still as I can. We're gonna cut right through. But look at that. We have 2 really, really gorgeous pieces. I have the smaller piece on the top because this was the top of the salmon. And then I have a piece right here that's pretty perfect. It's about a ½ inch or so thick. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing for my other piece of salmon. And that way we'll have 4 really, really nice pieces. So all my salmon is scaloppinied. It's such a fun word to say. You can use this trick for pretty much anything. You can do veal scaloppini, pork scaloppini. You can do anything thinly sliced and it'll easily cook in a pan. So now I'm gonna show you something even more awesome, and that's this sauce. It's so good. And it starts with a lot of garlic. I have 2 very big minced garlic cloves in here. I'm gonna pop it in a bowl. Perfect. And then I have honey. And I said this is going to be a garlic honey glaze. You need the honey to make this sauce a glaze and make it stick to the salmon. So don't not use the honey. You can also use agave nectar if you prefer. And then I have some soy sauce. And the soy sauce is going to add a saltiness, a richness, and give it that nice umami taste, which we know and love. And then I have some rice wine vinegar, and this is gonna cut the richness of the honey, add a whole nother dimension. Rice wine vinegar is actually pretty light and mild. It just has a nice little bite that's just so perfect when combined with all of these flavors. I also have some red hot pepper flakes. I'm gonna add just a dash in there. You can just completely omit that if you don't like spicy. And then our final ingredient in this sauce is orange zest and a little bit of freshly squeezed orange juice. It brings the sauce to a whole nother level. So I have a beautiful ripe orange here. I have a microplane, which is a zester. You can also use the fine setting on a cheese grater if you don't have a microplane. And you're just going to gently rub the outside of the orange to collect the zest. You don't want to go past this white part here because that part is actually bitter. The zest is the very top layer, the orange part of the orange. So I'm going to pop this zest right into our sauce mixture. And then I'm going to cut our orange in half, just like this. Look how pretty this is, by the way. These are Cara oranges, which is just a different type of orange. Instead of a navel orange, it's a different type, and they're so sweet and amazing. You can use whatever orange you want though. And I'm going to squeeze this orange, about half of the orange. It's about 2 tablespoons or so of juice right in here. And it's just going to add that beautiful aromaticness, if that's a word, of the orange. Perfect. And then I'm going to take a little whisk and I'm going to whisk together all of the ingredients. You wanna be careful so it doesn't slosh all over the place, but you really wanna get that honey mixed in with the other ingredients. The honey tends to sink to the bottom, so give it a nice whisk. So we have our sauce all whisked together. I have my salmon scaloppini, and I'm gonna bring it all over to the stove, and we're gonna work on the sauce and searing the salmon. Let's go. So I got my sauce. I'm gonna give it a final whisk, and I'm gonna pour it all into a saucepan here. And this pan is over medium-high heat. And we're going to cook off the sauce for about 5 minutes. You're gonna notice a lot of changes happening. There's gonna be a lot of bubbling and sizzling, and then the sauce is going to turn a beautiful mahogany color, and it's gonna become a little bit more syrupy, and that's when we know that it's done. So I'll walk you through the process. So our sauce has been cooking for about 4 minutes or so, and you can see that there's a lot of bubbles going on. You wanna make sure to continuously stir your sauce to make sure that it doesn't burn on the bottom of the pan. But once it's reached this level, we're getting very, very close. We're about a minute or so away. You can see the color change. So it's like a very, very dark mahogany color. And the bubbles are actually turning that mahogany color too now, you can see. It's caramelizing in the pan, look at those bubbles. So this needs about 1 more minute or so. It's a little bit thicker, but you're not gonna see a syrup. You're not gonna see a glaze. It's more of a syrup. Look at that. All right, 1 more minute, and then we're gonna take this right off the burner. Okay, see these bubbles? They're very, very dark brown. That's when it's really turned into a glaze. So you wanna turn the heat off. The bubbles are gonna subside, and I'm just gonna place this on our other burner here. And it's time to start the salmon. So our glaze is chilling on just a cold burner, and while that's hanging out and turning into a nice glaze, I'm going to be cooking our salmon. So we have our salmon scaloppini here, our perfectly cut salmon, and I have here a skillet that's over medium-high heat with about a tablespoon or so of olive oil in it. You don't need to use a non-stick pan because the salmon is actually pretty fatty, so it's not really gonna stick to the pan. Just put a tiny little bit of oil in there. So once your pan is really, really hot, then it's time to add your salmon. You're going to want to cook this salmon 1 minute on the first side and then 1 to 2 minutes on the second side until you see that the inside is a little bit flaky and doesn't have that raw appearance anymore. And it registers about 130 degrees in the center. So let's go stick these in. First one down. Perfect. That sizzle. And there you go. We're gonna let this go for 1 minute on the first side and then 1 to 2 minutes on the second side. So we're done with side 1. I have 2 spatulas here because it's actually pretty easy to pick up salmon with these tiny little thin pieces with 2 spatulas. So this one is tiny. I think I can just, flip it. There we go. And then this one's pretty big. So I'm gonna take 2 spatulas and then flip it just like that. I'm gonna flip all these salmon pieces and then I'm gonna let them cook for another 1 to 2 minutes. So our salmon is done. It's perfectly seared. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the burner off. You may even want to just move this slightly to the side so it doesn't continue cooking over the hot burner. And I'm going to take my glaze here and I'm going to pour it right over the salmon, and it's gonna stick to the salmon, stick to the pan a little bit, cook off, and look at that. How amazing. Let's go plate and try. I'm gonna show you some tricks on how to make this next level. So if this salmon doesn't make you hungry, I don't know what does. I mean, look at this salmon. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to show you how I love to plate this. So I'm going to take my salmon. I'm gonna put it on a little dish here. I'm gonna take some fresh scallions, put a little bit of the scallions on top, and then I'm gonna take a knife, cut that other orange half in half, and I'm gonna put it on the side just like this. You can even drizzle a little bit more sauce on if you're a sauce person. All right, let's go for this. Oh my gosh. The glaze just sticks to the salmon. It has just a hint of orange, the soy, the garlic, a little tang from the rice wine vinegar. The salmon is cooked perfectly in 2 minutes. It's insane. Oh my gosh. Check it out on tastefullygrace.com. You won't regret it.